Pretty good.
Let me wash it. Okay. He did some hopped up on the table and grabbed a little cover for this guy.
And then this is for you and your lovely wife. It's a little. There was a group there that was a group of folks with disabilities that would weave things.
And this was in
Thailand. That's in Chiang Mai.
When were you there?
It was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Thank you.
But it's like I fell in love with this little. It was this little company of mostly folks with Down syndrome.
It was with Interact.
Oh,
yeah,
great! I miss Interact so much.
Those guys.
It was so much fun to work on that Christmas show.
Yeah.
Well, and when I first went in there, you know, it was my first time back at the Guthrie Lab in a while.
Yeah.
But that was the first place I worked, and that was the first theater that I felt that was mine.
Yeah.
Because I had a certain amount of autonomy
You
there.
really did. Yeah, you sure did.
It was the beautiful place because it was off-site, but it was financially supported, so you didn't always have to worry about butts and seats, but you could concentrate on the work, which is another reason why I love the studio up in the Guthrie.
Yeah.
It was, you know, supported, but isolated enough, and it was more of an idea factory than it was a money machine.
Yeah.
And it brought not only new audiences in, but new performers in, and that's where it gets really exciting.
I agree.
You know, giving the ability of people not only to say what it is that they are, but to be heard.
Yes.
And for me, that's huge.
Did you work on the OnThe.One? What was it? It was the Iliad that you did?
I didn't work on the main show of it, but I did work on the revival of it.
When they brought it. Wasn't that something?
I love that.
I saw that in that space, and that's, I think, one of my favorite things I saw in there, just because it did everything you just said.
Yeah.
It was this one guy, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And it was such a draw. That was a show of all shows.
And he just holds you the entire show. You know, that's the classic storytelling. That's
time didn't exist. You're right.
Yeah.
There was no time.
It's good to see you.
Nerds. Oh, nerds. I know it. I know those are like, you can't beat that. I don't know. That's up there, you know, the human experiences.
Oh, so when was the last time you were able to perform in front of an audience?
Well, no, I've actually done a couple of things.
Yeah.
I did one this summer with Dan Chenard, a thing for Lahamadu, and it was so great, even though people were 40 feet away and spaced and everything.
It was their gala.
Yeah, it was their gala.
It was a hybrid gala.
And we just...
Outside.
Oh, God. You must know Glenn Flattabo, don't you? That auctioneer.
Yeah.
He did the auction, so you know that guy. That guy can just... I mean, he doesn't even leave a lint in the pot. There's not even lint left.
It's like zero punctuation.
So he was there and Dan Chenard. So I got to... That was good. And then I did...
It's a fine line between auctioneering and Welsh.
There's like... he's got like... He makes people so happy they're giving up everything they have.
It's like, take it. It's worth it.
You know,
it's like, worth it just to be involved.
Oh boy, you could not. Anytime I know I'm working with him, it's going to be a fun time. And then I did one with Prudence and Dan again. I had crooners. It was just and that was just a one-off. Again, people spaced apart. And
in a tent. And then one with...
Oh, Simone.
No.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, an outdoor tent one with Simone.
in the rain.
Which Simone?
Parent.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
How's she doing?
Good. She's got her boys and
Yeah.
she's doing good. Actually, really good.
Yeah, she's always been such a pleasure to work with.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
She brings it.
I got to work with her first over in the little theater over at the Ordway back when it was there.
Oh, that's right. I remember she was in. She was in Rocky. Was that in there?
Yeah. Well, I was not the person mixing sound for Rocky.
Okay.
And That became a referred to comment in the stocking of all future shows. Well, and it's recently because I don't want to, trash talk another operator.
No, but
I believe that mixing is an active verb.
Yes.
This person just kind of like set everything at 10 and then just kind of sit back and went, oh, it's the greatest thing ever.
No.
So, the big moments that where the comedy is, it goes from this huge transvestite explosion and then back to the narrator. Same volume!
God, that's a nightmare. That's what you're, as an actor.
Yeah.
Oh, God, as an actor, that is your nightmare.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed it?
Well, no, people noticed it, but, the people who knew what was wrong and how to fix it were otherwise employed.
And so
Oh,
you
boy.
step on the guy's toes?
Well, no, because I was low man on totem pole there, just, doing what I was
But
told.
like the director?
Yeah, well, the similar thing happened right after I was fired from the Ordway. Well, my position was turned into 2 jobs, and I was told to apply for the position that I wanted, and they brought in somebody else to do it. And this is where it gets really tragic. The guy only lasted like 4 months before he was fired for his alcoholism, infringing on his ability to do his job. And then he moved to California and died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But what happened was, and the frustrating thing for me personally was that I had literally just gotten a new apartment, signed a lease on it, a block away from the Ordway. That way I could just, zip. And I signed the lease. I'm under the thought, and we're making plans for everything. And then I find out a week later, oh, yeah, we didn't hire you.
Ah, dang.
Well, by the time I walked back to my apartment, which was, again, a block away, I already had a job.
Oh, good. That's how you want to do it.
So,
that's really funny.
It was Reed Race that called me out of the blue. I go, I know this is a 1 in a million chance, but do you happen to be available anytime soon?
Oh, no way.
We just need a second hands on a show that we're doing. And I'm like, yeah, I can. Let me make one phone call first to make sure that this is cool. And then I'll get right back to you. And that one phone call was to Stephanie, who I had just recently started dating. And one of the things that separated me from her previous suitor was that I had a job.
Oh, God.
So I kind of call her up kind of quickly. And again, this is early on in our romantic relationship, but we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, you guys, yeah.
But it's kind of awkward that I have to come like, hey, so I'm not working at the Ordway anymore, and I had to kind of go through the explanations of what was going on while still trying to figure it out. I go,
how your cat likes me.
But here's the other thing: I did just get offered a job, and it's working on the same show you are. Is it okay that I work it? Is that too close? Is that too fast?
Right.
And she said, No, it'll be good to work with you. Okay, no, it'll be fine. And, then I started working back again at the Guthrie.
What show was it? What was that?
Scottsboro Boys.
Oh, yeah. I
which was
that.
a great
Yep.
show that was so trashed upon by people who did not see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I just remember.
Well,
I didn't see it, but I heard it was really good.
They couldn't do it in New York because it was being canceled before it was seen because the words and lyrics were brought out of context.
Uh-oh.
So if you don't see it as a sarcastic play,
I remember that fluffle
on all these things.
I remember
it
that.
comes off as the most horrendously written. Springtime for Hitler.
Yeah, I remember that.
The other hard thing was working on that show is that the songs, they have that ragtime earworm, and they just get in your brain. Oh, thank you.
He's stealthy.
Yeah.
Is it okay? I don't think
he probably picked it out of my pocket.
he did. Yeah. He doesn't tend to chew through stuff, so I think it should be okay.
Dan Chenard came over once and he
I
goes,
have 6 pairs just in case. I always get them the same design. That way I don't have to find the same pair.
Yeah,
Same with my
that's-
socks.
Dan Chenard came over and he goes, I swear I brought a sandwich.
This is a spare that I have. I'm just going to let him see that.
He's such a good boy.
He doesn't, he still has the same. Mary's sister gave him a rawhide Christmas card like 8 years ago and he still hasn't got to it.
Yeah, he's good about that.
I love his expressive face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about you. Yeah.
He's talking about you.
Yeah.
He is really, he is the best
My
dog.
life is so much better with you in it.
Yeah, that is a really good dog. Yeah, he couldn't be better.
Yeah, we don't have the space in our house that a dog deserves.
Yeah.
So we don't have one right now.
Well, see, people got to think of that. I mean, or time it takes or anything, you know. You gotta.
It's like a kid.
You got a cat's a different deal. You know?
Yeah.
But a dog, you do have to really consider all that stuff in a yard or something, you know.
Yeah. Walks and.
Yeah. You'll have one again. I mean, you're a dog.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
a dog person.
We're hoping we may have to move soon if we want to continue to go to Gemma's school. We got her in an international IB school.
Oh, great! I love
but,
those.
but the word is that they're going to be terminating, the Minneapolis is going to be terminating their connection with it. The school is going to still continue to operate as one.
As an IB, yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but they've also kind of reworked the zones that you can do. So now we're out of our zone. So we have to, we could, if there's room for her and she does get accepted, we can drive her to school.
Okay.
And this girl loves her school bus, so that's
Part of the deal.
yeah. But the other hope is, you know, if we find the time, place, and opportunity of getting a house within that school's area.
Yeah.
That way we can.
So weird they would change that of all things, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and it was an adjustment that they made well before pandemic,
Okay.
and it just happened to fall in the midst of pandemic. So
Okay.
it's a previous decision that is now being adjusted for. Plus, also the state just opened up schools for
Right.
schools that want to, which I think is too early.
Yeah.
And we're not sending Gemma back, so we're also having to adjust that her distance learning teacher is now going to change
Okay.
next week to a different teacher, which is breaking her heart because her and Miss Jill have such a connection. It's
Oh, hopefully it'll happen again.
yeah, and sending her back to school right now, as much as we want her to. The reason we want her in public school, and we want her in a public school with kids that don't look like her.
Right.
We want her to have that early dynamic.
totally.
You know, and we don't want, and we're trying to answer, you know, white flight from schools.
Right.
So the school in our immediate area wouldn't be the best for Gemma because it's more of a traditional school, but it's also built on taking English as a second language students.
Okay.
And
Yep.
bringing them up to it. And while she would do well in that, a IB curriculum where they kind of take the individual
Yep.
and not necessarily teach them what to think, but how to think.
No, I've been in those Ivy schools. I'm all over. I love them. I just
Yeah.
love them. Yeah.
So that's why it's worth it for us to possibly move.
Yeah. As a performer, I haven't done a lot of grade schools, but enough to know. I can tell when I get to the office what kind of show I'm going to have.
Just but you can bring in a DB meter and it will tell you.
Just the office, and usually the woman or man who greets me, I will know what kind of show I'm going to have. And those IB ones, I could just, even before I even went, I'd go, oh, good.
Oh yeah, it's like,
You know, yeah, I already know what I'm in for. And they've always been good.
and they have secret signs amongst themselves that make it always feel like you're like, you know, even as a Mason, I feel like I'm that I've snuck into a secret order.
Oh, those guys. There's a school, what is it called? The school that's just on the southwest. Is that a IB school?
I don't know.
Was it what?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
She used to go to Judson Preschool
yeah.
just down the street here. And that
2
was
blocks away.
Yeah, that was great for her.
Yeah, those guys are all guys. See those kids playing all the time.
Yeah, and it was a great environment for her. And again, because we do a lot of education at home.
Yeah.
But the socialization is the thing that we can't replicate.
And it sounds like she loves that. It sounds like she really.
She's grown into this beautiful combination of confidence and empathy.
Oh man, that's what you want.
So she just rocks. The best thing I ever did was we have an equal arts collaborative called Gemmandada, and we're equal partners, which means since I started this idea before she was verbal, I had to be very clear about what my intention was. That way I didn't project it on her and say that that's what she wanted. Yeah. Because that is the way of the bad stage mom.
Yeah. No, that's really great.
And so as an artist, it just forced me to really figure out what parts were my intentions and what parts, I was gleaming and at first, kind of amplify it.
What a great skill for her to learn, though. I mean, to learn that, how to get her voice in there.
And a big part of it, I mean, this started off as a bath time reenactment of Waiting for Godot that I was doing with bath time toys.
Oh, wow.
And because I happen to have just Godot there on my phone, so I was acting it out. But to make it characters that she was interested, we used characters from the Super Mario universe, so she would identify them. We made Luigi and Toad our main 2 protagonists, and they get visited by a Princess Peach who has the turtle skeleton known as Dry Bones on a chain.
Oh, cool! I love Dry Bones.
So then after we kind of did it, and I changed the voices to be all the different characters. I kind of went back and phonetically did it, and got bored kind of partial way through. So I started just doing homonyms, just because I can. There's nobody
ride your gift.
Yeah. Because, and one of the characters is Luigi, so I added, whenever he says me, he says, me. Which plays on the Italian language stereotype, but it also gives the idea that Luigi knows that he is possibly not the only Luigi, that there are other Luigis and other dimensions.
Okay.
While Toad's memory seems to be reset every time. So he's he's a fresh character every morning, but Luigi continues to be Waiting for Super Mario.
Oh, cool.
So it just gave me a little play.
Yeah.
And so I have him going, me.
It really fits the script.
And then at one point I wrote me, but I wrote it AMY. So the name Amy. And then I got a call from text from a friend of mine. Who the hell's Amy?
Amy, yeah.
And it's coming to me completely out of context. And the only Amy I know is an Amy I used to date that I met on New Year's Eve 2000. And I'm like, what? It's like in your script, you suddenly start talking about Amy. I go, oh, it's a homophone. I just got tired of writing me. So I decided to have a little fun for it. It's just for people who read it.
That's great, though. Me, I mean, it's also friend or, it's also, when I think, I thought Mike's play his holiday pageant. The character I played was Mac, and he'd always say, I, Mac. So it just didn't turn into iMac. And it was like, he was iMac.
Nice.
Yeah, because he would do the same. He was always referred to himself and then his name, yeah.
I haven't seen Michael for a few months.
No, I don't know how he's doing.
When the thing kind of went down, I saw him as they were kind of closing things down, and he was just going to go to the farm for a while,
Yeah, he's working on a play now, which you should, go to Open Eye because it's going to be one of his, it sounds like it could be a good one, one of his window ones that lasts just a few minutes, but it's outside their window. And it looks really good, I think. Marin Ward's involved with it. It just looks like it could be good. But yeah, we're a little worried about Mike personally. Just, this
the dark spirit in the dark world.
He suffers enough without being on his own, and this really, I think a lot of his social interaction really kept him above water a lot.
Yeah.
And I think being alone is not a good thing for Mike. And I really owe him a call. I'm really behind.
Consider this the nudge to do so.
Yeah, yeah.
And give him my best too.
Yeah, I will.
Let him know that I'm available. Because their place is like 5 blocks from my house.
Oh, great.
So back when I used to walk a lot, I would always, accidentally find my way by there and would often see Michael out smoking.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm thinking about quitting. I'm like, when will I ever see you again?
But I think the good news, I think he's kind of excited. It was a little while ago I got a email that he was doing this show coming up. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We talked a while ago, and again, I think I was in the midst of having a child, and we keep on talking about either possibly me joining the board there to give a hand.
God, that'd be so great.
Doing some shows, but I love that place so much.
Same here, and I love Joel as a good. He was a good. That was a good handoff.
Yeah,
that was in there with when Sarah took over the jungle. That was another great handoff. You know, just that's so smart. It's like theaters that don't do that. Like I was always so mad at Junloon because they would never set up what's going to happen when we all get old, which they did. Anyway, well, they kind of have the moving company going now, but it was like, where's your next? Because you could have just seen Laverne take it over, or all those guys that they kind of had in there at the time would have gladly been the next Junloon.
Yeah.
Nathan Keepers and Laverne and all those guys,
and to convey not only that good energy, but that audience.
Everything,
Curating an audience for a new theater is the most difficult thing.
Oh boy, no kidding.
There's also I during the last recession I ended up working at the Ordway.
Yeah.
And one of the people that I got to actually have a personal conversation with that happened after a onstage conversation was about what theater should do during downtime, because there's this natural tendency to reduce the show, reduce the number of shows, reduce the number of performances, and just get by easier. And he's like, there's a natural tendency to that, but the number show, that's the opposite of what you do. Which is you do more shows, lower ticket prices, more audience, the more you become less dependent on the individual sale and are more supported by a community, by an environment, the better chances you have of being able to survive and continue to do a show another day.
Yeah.
That's one of my frustrations with the Guthrie, is that it's this big thing. Now, they did do a Christmas show. And
I couldn't believe it.
And that was great. But the fact that they're not becoming an educational conversation point.
So low. I just can't.
So much
Mary
potential.
Mary and I both. Yeah, Mary was like, "What are they thinking?" I was the same way. It's like, what do you guys even? That was stupid.
Yeah. Well, and my wife, who worked there now, is now she's now doing school 3 days a week, learning computer database systems.
Okay.
Part of it is for underserved communities to be able to have visual demonstrated data.
Nice.
On whatever it is that is their concern, and how to build that and how to show it and how to use it.
Really nice.
So,
Yeah, I love it. That's kind of like what Penumbra was, Sarah Bellamy over there, when, they completely changed. Okay, we're not even really a theater anymore.
Yeah.
We're, this whole new resource for, all kinds of, and it's like, wow, that was a big move. And I love Latte Die, they said, okay, if we're going to be closed down, let's hunker down and figure all these things out. Let's, set it up. And I don't know, and Open Eye, there's a bunch of people that did it right.
Yeah.
Jungle, I liked what they did.
I want to thank Springboard for the Arts.
Yes.
They've been doing a lot of fantastic outreach and programs and conversations. They've been having the conversations that I thought that the Guthrie would be having.
Yeah, they've been great. Yeah, you're right.
And not only have they been great in the workshops, but I was able to get like an individual to look at my art and figure out, where to put my focus.
Yeah.
And now that I'm done, last Sunday I finished an anthology. Writing my part of an anthology.
Dang, man. Is that one you were talking about?
The sci-fi one?
Yeah.
So I wrote 26 songs.
Oh, you were telling me you were the Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never had a song published before, and typically these are more poetry.
Yeah.
Because what I'm saying is that what you're reading is just a 2-dimensional slice of an 8-dimensional object.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't rhyme, it's just because you're not hearing it all.
I love that the rhyme is what you left out. It all rhymes.
Well, what happened was I was looking at the structure of a lot of songs, and a lot of songs the words don't rhyme. Because they're just paced far enough that they're individual thoughts. So I just kind of did the same. Each line is its own koan. And then 26 songs later, basically I wrote a bunch of them I wrote maybe 10 of them ahead of time because I had the general idea of what's going to happen. And how this world was created was 25 authors got together and basically played a game where we created a world. We created the events that occur over a period of 1 year. And the first one we did took place inside the ribcage of an ancient Leviathan, and it was known as Tales from Acton Tan.
Oh, yeah. I remember that title. Yeah.
And I did a story as written by Garrus, son of Keylor.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were telling me that last time.
And what it was kind of an overlay of the village. And what I used was the opening chapter on Lake Wobegon days as the initial framework, and then just instead of talking about Mildred and Marybelle, I talked about Mutak and Dackle.
Yeah, cool.
And the rib cage in which they lived in.
I love the rib cage.
And just but there was a certain kind of normality, and by being able to take one thing that we all know that is kind of a trope, and just taking that framework and just kind of plugging in the different pieces and telling the same story, but in a very different way. And as you're creating this, you also discover whatever you do a parody of, you get to really know. Yeah. At least what I do is I build up a model of what I think the writer's mind is doing this, and then when you find out a little bit more about that writer during that time, you're like, I do. Yeah. So like I'm really getting into Beckett because I translated every line of Godot. Crab's Last Tape is my next one.
That's a really good. That one to look at is this book called At Swim Two Birds. Have I mentioned this to you?
No.
Oh man, it's a parody of Joyce, and it was written by a guy Flann O'Brien. And did I tell? I thought it.
Oh yeah.
If your sister's a boozy girl, the one where the critic said, "This is the perfect book for your sister if she's a something boozy girl." Yeah, but it's also the thing that's so great about it is that it is this amazing parody, but it lives on its own. Nice. But the guy clearly really got Joyce on a whole new level.
One of my favorite authors, Robert Anton Wilson.
How do I know his work?
He's best known for being the co-writer of the Illuminatus trilogy.
Okay.
Timothy Leary he did a lot of work with Timothy Leary, and Timothy Leary credits him with rewiring Timothy Leary's brain.
Wow.
And George Carlin cites him as his #1 source.
Oh my gosh, well, you can't beat that.
So, I have a bunch of his books. One of my favorite books of his is his Encyclopedia of Conspiracy Theories.
Oh, cool.
Called Everything is Under Control.
Of course.
And he in the opening parts of it, he goes, now, keep in mind here, what we include in here, no matter how out there or how fantastic, there are people who believe this, thus they live in a world where this is real.
Right.
And just that little kind of glimpse on what I used to kind of view as kind of like, the kind of freak show of reality, it gave me a greater kind of empathy
It's
for
another,
it.
yeah. And do you know, the guy who wrote True Grit, but he wrote, I think it's called Man from Atlantis or something, but it's one of the coolest books, and it's all about, it's a kind of a conspiracy theory, kind of alternate universe, and his writing is so good. If you want to read these 3 books, they couldn't be more different, and they're all by him. Dogs of the South is phenomenal, and then True Grit, because he invented that language. You know that language we see on True Grit that seems so, it's kind of heightened and poetic. He invented that.
Wow.
That's like, because you'll never see that in another book. It's this language that he invented for this kind of probably a girl that was on the spectrum, but we didn't call it that at the time.
Yeah.
And
she had a certain way about herself.
Yes, and the way she just kind of mixed the language up, but that heightened it in a way. Or did you ever read Ridley? Was it Ridley? Ridley Walker.
No.
Oh man, you're gonna love Ridley Walker. You're gonna flip out.
Great.
It's all in an invented language, and so the first 2 pages take forever to read.
It's like Scottish?
Yeah, it is like Scottish. But then you get about 20 pages in, and you're reading just like it's regular writing.
Nice.
But it's so hard.
It forces you to kind of rework the structures in your brain to process it.
And your brain just does it.
Yeah.
And
one of the beautiful things about the Illuminatus trilogy is that it inoculates you against conspiracy theory. Because what it does is it opens up with a story about this guy who finds out about this truth. And then investigates it, and it gets revealed this grand truth, and it's epic and life-changing. And then it's knocked out from underneath him, and he's told the real truth, and it's built up using some of the pieces of before, but with some new information that it makes it even more believable. And then they knock that out.
I love it.
And it just continues to do it to the point you're just like, I have to think for myself. I can't trust anything that I'm.
So the next one comes along, and you're not going in like you were.
Yeah,
that's really good.
And I'm feeling that could really serve a lot of the QAnon folk.
Oh Lord!
They've done some horrendous actions. They put some vile things into being, but they're still people.
Yeah. So they're
they were not led. They were not brought in there unaided.
No, that's exactly. Yeah, they believe something. That was that good series. I thought it was really good on HBO. What was it called? Watchmen. Did you ever see the?
I am hyper familiar with the original work because I know the creators. I bet and it came out during our dark period where we didn't have HBO for a while. So I'm waiting to watch it with the wife, but I am also familiar with the basic tropes of it.
I figured you were, yeah.
And also the fact that it brought a lot of awareness to like the what happened down in Oklahoma.
Yeah. That was good.
I have my own murder story history that I'm researching, which is the Mountain Meadows Massacre in Utah.
Oh wow.
There was
I don't know that one.
a caravan based out of Arkansas. In fact, if you go to Little Rock, you can see a tribute to this group. And they're traveling to California. They're passing through southern Utah, not too far from where Las Vegas is now.
Okay.
And as they came up to the story is they came up to a house and they asked if there was a good place to stay by. And he goes, "Oh, there's a beautiful mountain meadow just over here. Da-da-da-da. You can set up there. You'll be great." So they set up there, and the next morning they were beset by hundreds of Indians, which was a number of Native American groups, but also they were told by the Mormon leaders that these were the people that killed their prophet, and that their Mormon magic would protect them from their bullets. So the group attacked this wagon train as it circled up at 6 in the morning, and they didn't expect for the people to roll out with their guns as quickly, and it turned into like a 5-day siege.
Wow.
The Native Americans kind of got out of there because they realized, wait, that magic isn't working.
No, that Mormon magic.
It has not rendered them bulletproof.
Maybe
they're not being the most honest with it.
Did anyone read the expiration date on that magic?
And then there was an effort to kind of go around and get all the Mormons that were in the area to be the Native Americans and continue this attack. Meanwhile, the group was trying to get like a scout out to any Freemason, Oddfellow, or Army person about what's happening.
To come and save the day?
Come and save the day.
Was that coming from the inside or the outside?
That was coming from the inside.
Yeah, so okay. Oh my God.
And what happened is on the 5th day, soldiers in full Union garb approach them and say, hey, we've talked to the local Indian tribes. We're just going to lead you out of here.
Oh, no.
To a safe place, and then we'll figure out about the stuff later. And they ended up separating them into 3 groups. One group of men, one group of women, and one group of children under the age of 13. They killed the men, they killed the women, and all the children were spread amongst the Mormons to be adopted.
Oh, man.
Because, guess what? Those weren't soldiers. They were Mormons, under the guise of it, went there.
Oh, wow.
One guy, one of their scouts makes it as far as Las Vegas and is telling somebody when he's literally gunned down in the street.
From being
and the story that the people that gunned him down told him that he was a wanted criminal and got off. But word got to it. There were some members of the Mormon community who were not on board for this.
Right.
And word got out, and a general came to the valley, and all the items had been stripped of goodwill. In fact, this is considered to be the kind of the source of the Mormon beehive of their wealth.
A beehive? That's the whole...
Yeah. And they basically, so the entire... And how they knew that the Mormons had it, because one of the families that went out was given a wagon as their wedding gift.
Oh,
and that wagon was now being used by the local leader.
Oh, that's not good.
The clothes were distributed amongst everybody. Again, the children were distributed amongst everybody. But they just left the bodies. And a U.S. Army general came through the area, and there were just animals eating on the things. And he was like, it was the most horrific thing that he has ever seen. So he had his detailed men and himself just do a mass grave, covered it with rocks in the area, and put up a large cross. And it says, and that just said on it, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." So the idea of a U.S. Mormon war was only delayed by the fact that we had a civil war.
Seriously?
Yeah, and when the Mormon leaders came upon the site and saw this cross with it on there, now the cross is not the Mormon symbol. They had he had the cross taken down and dragged behind a wagon until it is nothing but splinters. And so that's the Mountain Meadow Massacre story that I'm investigating right now. And
I've been to Utah several times, and I've never heard that.
Yeah. We should go sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty...
It's also, I mean, the area itself is beautiful.
What part? I mean,
it's right in the southwestern part of Utah.
Okay.
And, it's...
That's amazing.
It's a story that needs to be told.
It does. It really does.
So yeah, that's.
But it reminds me too of the when you go to, when you go to Greece or something, the atrocities to the Armenians never happened. Or, it's like, it's so interesting.
The Uyghurs.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's Holocaust Remembrance Day today.
Yes, I know.
As I was driving over here, I was listening, and they were talking about the Warsaw ghettos, and they made a lot of the people just started journaling things, their day-to-day things, just to have a record that they existed, because 2 years previous, this was highlighting skyscrapers and the future, and then the Warsaw Ghetto became the reality, and they collected a number of these like artifacts, and it'll be things from either newspapers, gum wrappers, journal takings, deep things, things that said that a people were here,
right? And
they buried it in Warsaw, and it was found after the war, and when they're kind of rebuilding, Warsaw to be a future, but they found like the archive, and they were going through and they're translating it. But the identity with that existential crisis and wanting somebody to know that, God damn it, I was here.
Yeah.
This is what it was.
I've heard, several things, just what it was just like the intellectuals, the theater that was happening, the music that was happening there. It was kind of like Prague,
yeah.
Prague in the, when the communists, the Russians came in. It was
I love your stories about secret shows.
Oh yeah, doing those. Oh god, there was a bunch of them. They were mind blowing.
Oh, one of the closest thing I had to that over here was when the group from Poland did that show, Funeral. Basically, Funeral for War.
Yeah.
And it was an outside production, and it was on the site of where the new Guthrie was going to be.
Oh yeah.
And we were surrounded by fencing that used to be prime tailgating area.
Uh-huh.
And it was a football night.
Oh, no.
And we were the most hated people.
I love
it. And I remember, it's like, and I'm the sound guy. Usually a performance will come with the pre-show music or something. Yeah. But they're like, just do whatever you want. You know our message. And at the time I was thinking, so what is the most, like, oh wait, I got that Fight Club soundtrack.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool.
So we got Tyler Durden screaming out this is your life, one cup at a time, And then a storm came in, and it was just one of those, like, still, and then out of nowhere, just rain, wind, and that's when the show started.
Oh, I love it.
And then out comes this still-to-death figure with this huge banner that started off red, and then as it sweeps through the air, it becomes a black oil slick, just screaming through the air, and the wind's just blowing. Fantastic show, image, lights, antagonism, and fear.
God, that sounds great.
And there was, no walls, no nothing, but it was a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, that was. You'd go to some of that stuff in Europe. There was a circus called Cirque Chaos, I remember, and they had stuff like that just blew the lid off the place. I remember one of their openings was everyone sitting on the side of a hill watching. And I still don't know why we all turned. It was something happened where we all turned, and I don't even know why, but everyone looked, and there was a woman on top of the hill with a baby carriage, and she was reading, and the baby carriage got away, and she didn't see it because she was reading. And everyone went, oh! But it was too late. It was already going down the hill at breakneck speed. And then it hit something, and there wasn't a baby inside, and they started the show. And then the show, it went from there, so everyone's like, oh. All these guys, all the performers come running on, and they have two barrels, one on each shoulder. but they're holding them with their arms so they can't see. And they're running through the audience. So you have to get out of the way or you'll get stepped on. And they didn't care. And it's just running. So we went through the baby carriage and then those guys running through the audience. And when the show started, everyone's just like, everyone was like, what now? We're so skittish. And if a baby, if a kitten would have come on stage.
I loved working live outdoor summer stock shows, and then a random animal would show up on stage. We're doing a show at the Idaho Shakespeare Festival called, I can't remember, but it was for the state centennial. It was like a woman comes through or something like that. But a dog ended up popping up on in one of the early scenes. And then when the melodrama villain, which showed up later, he was always carrying that dog.
Oh no!
And his line changed from "Is there something going on here that I should know about?" So it was like, "Is there something going on here that we should know about?" It's like, yeah.
Oh god! Did you ever see? It's a Czechoslovakian movie. I think it's called what is it called? Oh shoot! Oh, it was Underground, I think. It was the same, okay. If it wasn't Underground, it was the same guys who did a really great show about this guy who tricks the whole town into thinking that the Nazis have come and he hides them in a basement. The war ends, it's going for years, and these people are still hiding in this basement for years. And they finally find out, and it goes bad for the guy. It's incredible how they keep it going. For like decades past this, children are born, all this stuff happens. But
I've enjoyed so many things with the was it Undefeatable Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah. Oh god, that's a good show. But these guys in the beginning are talking around the fountain in the town, and you can totally tell this just totally happened by it. And they're talking, and they're two pals talking away, and this cat's walking by. And you can tell the cat's doing exactly what you're saying. It's not supposed to be there. And it's walking by. One of the guys grabs the cat and shines his shoe with it. And then sets it back down and the cat just keeps going. And they didn't miss any dialogue.
In one of Bruce Lee's films where he fights Chuck Norris in the Coliseum, there's Bruce, Voodoo, Chuck, Voodoo, Kitten, I want to reshoot that thing completely from the cat's point of view.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see that cat like crawling on different points. So I think, even though it's not necessarily choreographed, they kept that cat in there. It is contextually perfect because there is no... The cat does not break reality in the way that it accesses and is seen at the different points. So one could possibly track that entire fight from that cat's perspective.
Oh god, that'd be funny.
Oh, that would be funny.
Yeah, the animals that appear. It is so great. It's that
sincerity of it. There's a certain thing to be said. That's one another reason why a lot of theater people like improv so much. And why we also like the improvised comedies of Waiting for Guffman, where they're just like, here's the situation, here's who you are, go.
Yeah.
And there's you'll get language and expressions out of that you can't get up when you're speaking for somebody else.
Well, and there's so many. I mean, a lot of different. That's the thing about a lot of different kinds of performances are. What is the expectation of the moment at hand? Mm-hmm. One of the things about improv is that, that it seemingly doesn't have rules when it's got all these wonderful rules that kind of are under the surface that these guys know. There's a skill to it that that is this unseen skill. I mean, in some ways, it's like storytelling.
Yeah.
Usually it takes thousands of tellings to get a story to where it looks like it's the first time you've told it.
Yeah.
But it just falls out that way,
It's what I call sincere satire. It's
exactly. It's got to be.
Yeah. When I'm trying to with have I told you about Cult of the Month?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we're currently at Cult of the Month number 65.
Yeah.
And here in the back of Game of Depth, I actually made I just made a column of all the different cults of the month.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
And,
this is fantastic.
What they are, a lot of them are, I was uncomfortable in this area, so I'm going to make that action a religious activity of some sort. At first, I felt weird starting a cult because I hadn't done it before.
Yeah.
And, you expected somebody to come down, you can't do that! And then I started it, and I announced it. I had a Kickstarter, and it was very successful, and I'm like, okay, I'm a cult founder. I had a hat that already said cult leader, so I figured, dress for the job you want.
Oh, God, I love it.
So I founded Quantum Psychiana. I took the quantum part because everything sells much better when you have the word quantum in front of it. And also it was Robert Anton Wilson wrote a book called Quantum Psychology.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of what I was pulling my ideas from.
Is this one the first cult of the month?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know, I know that.
And then there was a religion that was started in the 1920s out of Moscow, Idaho, called Psychiana.
Yes, you took this. You told me that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, and when I first discovered Psychiana, I heard about a mail order preacher with a money back guarantee. And I'm like, I gotta read this. And I'm like, oh, and I'm ready for all kinds of snake oil and carnival barkery and stuff. And I get the thing and I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Ah, damn it. I'm a cult member. But basically what he did was he framed what I call chaos magic theory in a language that would appeal to 1920s people raised in a quasi-religious environment.
Right.
Who didn't... and the story about the guy was that he was a priest for a while. He was in a couple of churches. Then he became a pharmacist.
Yeah.
He got clean, and then he discovered that he could talk to God. And his thing is, I talk to God, and so can you. You don't need anybody between you and this. I'm going to go over a couple things. Now, you may find this uncomfortable because people charge me with being I've been charged with being the Antichrist. He's like, me and Christ are on really good terms with each other. I'm a big fan of his work. I just believe that his words are not always being represented in the best way. Which got him on the bad end of a lot of local church people. But the thing is, the reason he taught it, so he started this mail order thing, where people, he put an ad out in a magazine. And Scientific American was one of the things, Popular Mechanics,
So those,
Psychology Today, where people would be trying to figure out, you might be able to get somebody smart from this. And it started a mail order process. And it took off, huge. It became, outside of the University of Idaho, it became the largest employer in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh my gosh.
When he first started in town, he was being kind of ran hard by the local newspaper owner because the local newspaper was like, I don't want you starting up a newspaper and challenging me. He's like, I'm not going to start a newspaper challenging you. I just want to use you as a printer. And the guys started being a real jerk. He's like, all right, I am going to start a newspaper. And he went and got a press and became his own press and ran another newspaper.
That's funny. I wasn't gonna
until you convinced me that it was, a good idea. So, and it took off real big. And it cost $20, and you'd get 20 lessons. Basically, you get a thing in the mail every 2 weeks. You could write him if you had any questions. He responded to all the things, but he also had a huge team of people that were kind of processing this entire thing. And his big argument was, you can talk to God directly, just, be quiet and find it within yourself, and you'll know it to be true, And a lot of it is, kind of talking down, like, I know it sounds weird, but you're you.
Yeah.
And you don't need anybody between you and a higher power. And I had, and you know, I read that and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Also, one of the reasons that he did during mail order is that he didn't want in-person parishioners. He didn't want disciples. Because he saw whenever people got disciples, that corrupted the individual.
Huh. Yeah,
so
that's
he wouldn't
really
teach
true.
it to anybody within 100 miles of Moscow, Idaho. Yeah, he would just teach it outside of that area.
So where did he have all of his...
Well, he had his employees, but he didn't, but he did not try to teach his employees.
They were there to do the back work.
They're there to do the work. If they happen to read it and follow along with it, great.
Yeah.
But he was not going to encourage it, but he also was not going to hide what they were doing from it. It wasn't like, you know, oh, we do this over here, secret group. He's like, hey, we're doing this! And after I found out with a visit to my my father and grandparents that the founder of that was my great uncle.
Oh my God!
And I had no idea that starting a religion was a family business.
Well, you can't help it.
And he's not an uncle by blood, but he married my grandmother's, my father's mother's grandmother's sister.
Your father's mother's grandmother's sister. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he had he also installed in his house a pipe organ because he loved the pipe organ.
No, man.
So you know, that's a way of saying that I'm staying here. I put a pipe organ in the house. The house is now a pipe organ.
My friend Bill Lepp, he's a liar. He's really great, tells tall tales, and one of them is in his church. Some of his buddies, he's got these buddies that are really ne'er-do-wells that are always getting in trouble and stuff. They put balloons over the ends of the pipe organs, and so the balloons would blow up and come down. But he said, in the story, he goes, luckily, the pastor used to be a clown, so he quick made a pterodactyl and a... It's a hilarious story, but it's these balloons getting blown up and down, and then the preacher making all these balloon animals out of them really fast to save the sermon.
I consider being an altar boy to be my first stage work.
It is.
Yeah. It's like, for me, there was a very stressful time that I now look at it and go, oh, it's so simple. It's when he holds up the host. But there was this mystery time of when does the altar boy ring the bells? Because I'd followed in the text, and it seems to happen about there. But when you're an altar boy, you don't have the text in front of you.
No.
So you're sitting there with the, is that it? Is that it? So you hear these little, tick, 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 and then wait for the priest to make eye contact. And just,
And that's where you go. Yeah, I just did a sermon on Sunday, and that altar boy he impressed me because he had text, and I thought, oh, okay, he's got text, and I thought, okay, that he should do that. But then this little guy had to light all the candles at the same time.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
If you're a candle bearer, you know, especially if you're the person that got to light it, because then you got this cool little wick thing that came out.
Yeah, you had that. Yeah.
And you go ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding. That was a cool job because it involved fire. I studied magic as a kid.
Oh God.
So I also had flash paper access. So I only had enough for one, and I didn't want to get in trouble, but I wanted to see if it would work.
Yeah.
So I set it up in the furthest corner. There was a little bit of flash paper and igniter that I put on the wick. So that way, that one I could throw a fireball at. It's light. And then, and the fireball went up there and it lit, and nobody noticed, and that gave me joy through the entire thing.
Yeah.
But this was near the end of my my Ultra Boy days, because I was crossbearer next time, and we were out in the vestibule. I was waiting, and was kind of bored, and you have this big cross staff on a pole.
Yeah, I see that.
And I was short, so Jesus is actually above me, just sitting on the ground. And I discovered that there was a really good balance to the cross. You can just spin it, and the centrifugal force of the arms just kind of keep it up. I'm like, whoa! So I'm making Jesus really dizzy.
Oh God, that's
and
great.
then I try. What I try to do is spin it, and then see if I can roll it across me. And it gets right here, and then I just see a hand come over and just grab the crucifix. And that's it, when the priest was standing right behind me, and that's when I had to go to the lowest position, which was Bible bearer. Because they had this huge metal and jewel encrusted Bible that was a gift to the church, and you had to hold it because that's what the priest was reading from.
Biden's Bible.
Well, yeah, exactly. Imagine that, but designed by Dr. Doom. And I got to really know this Bible really well because, again, I was really short. Yeah. So I would rest it on my head and just kind of hold it up, and I could just feel my spine working. I'm like, all right, this is the last time I'm altar boy.
You were like coming out of Egypt. You were that guy that had to hold the Bible out of Egypt on his head.
Well, for a long time, I considered becoming a priest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was... my problem was I studied the church to the point that I could no longer have faith in the church.
Yeah.
I had great connections with the individuals, and if anything, I'd be in the Jesuit order because they're the ones that seem to be actively doing good and thinking for themselves.
Yeah, those guys. There was a Jesuit circus that would come to our college every year.
Yeah,
it's called the Royal Liechtenstein Quarter Ring Circus, and it was amazing. It was so great and hilarious and. But they'd always have a sermon built into the circus. You know, somehow I remember one was the swords turning into plowshares. And it was just, but, oh man.
Yeah.
We clamored for that circus every year. It's like, they were there one year and we created such a stir that all 4 years I went to Gustavus, that circus came back every year.
Nice.
Because we demanded it. And then the last year they got a horse. And then my friend, you know Nance Olson and Steve Epp. Nance joined that circus afterwards because she could juggle and stuff. She was the first woman in the circus with all these Jesuit guys. And since she was the newest one, the worst thing about being the newest person is you had to sleep in the same caravan as the monkey. And the monkey was meaner than hell.
The monkey doesn't like roommates.
Oh God, Nan said that monkey made her life just miserable, and she couldn't wait. And finally, somebody else joined, and he had to sleep with the monkey.
I did a production of Spring's Awakening in 1991 that was shut down before it did one performance for
Where, what? Here?
Boise, Idaho.
Oh God, no wonder.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And there was an argument, there was an op-ed in the paper, one person for shutting down the show, and one person that was a performer in the show giving their defense. And the performer is also a Jesuit priest.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that for me, that gave me the click of the click.
Yeah.
Because I heard about, Dominican and all the other different things, but it was my interaction with him and hearing his reasoning for his action and his faith that sent me closer to that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw boobs and it was all over.
No, that'll wreck you.
Yeah.
That's Lauren Nemi, Dr. Buzz. Do you know Lauren? Is a storyteller. Lauren was he lived in Winona with the Christian brothers. He was a Christian brother. He was going through all the steps to become a priest as well. And he finally dropped out. And I said, what was his reasoning? And Lauren said, quite honestly, I couldn't keep up with the drinking. And the Christian brothers make that Christian brothers brandy. And Lauren always would say, you have no idea. People think they can drink a lot, but those monks would put anybody on the table.
One of the things that I look forward to when I now just do jazz hands to point at everything.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just want to travel.
Yeah, I know.
I want to go. I want to go to
Oh,
a new.
boy.
I want to go to a greasy spoon in a town I have no idea of.
Oh, wouldn't
I
that
want
be
to talk to the
nice?
chef while they're making my flapjacks. I love interacting with people while they're making my food, because I honestly believe the emotional atmosphere in which food is made is transferred to the consumer, and I can feel more joy and love when I'm able to interact. Sometimes when I have no idea of the cuisine, or if I'm...
Bye, Mary. Good luck.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
See you soon. Yeah, we're recording. This is all there. You're perfectly in this part where we stitch you together. So you look amazingly thin.
Amazing.
You're the quilted Mary.
One pocket in the back.
Yeah. God, I don't know if you remember when we were in Green Bay. Bye, honey. There.
Don't forget to let Victor.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'm glad you reminded me. There was a diner when we were in Green Bay with the show we were touring. Midsummer, was it?
Midsummer or
Yeah,
Othello?
Midsummer.
Okay.
We were in Green Bay, and I went to one of those greasy spoon restaurants, and there was a guy behind the counter, and he was just probably the most unhygienic person I've ever seen working at a restaurant. And he was but it was just great. The guy next to me goes, "Hey, Steve, make me one of those omelets I'm not supposed to. My doctor says I'm not supposed to have." So I watched this guy, Steve, make this guy's omelet, and it had cheese in it, like sausage and sauerkraut.
Oh.
And I go, "Steve, make 2 of those." That was the best omelet I ever ate, I think.
Before it closed down at the Midtown Global Market, they had a Holy Land Deli.
Oh yeah, I remember that there. I ate there. Yeah.
They're going to be reopening with
They're great.
New management. They closed down kind of a combination of COVID, and then some old posts from the owner's daughter came out that were woefully wrong. And so they pulled out of there, and the father said, "Is like I found out that this has happened, and that our vice president in charge of blah has been doing this, and it's even harder because that is my daughter."
Oh boy.
So, but when I would go there, I would there was a chef. I just had to just do this, and he would make it. And what he would do is he would make what he would make for a friend.
Oh, whatever. And you didn't, it wasn't the same thing?
It wasn't always the same thing, but we had a connection, because I also used to work as a cook and chef, and I just make what you would make for a friend, and just to see the joy on his face as he was making it. And then being able just to go like this and being able to rekindle that joy is something that I miss.
Oh boy, I bet you had some good ones.
Oh yeah. I have no idea what it was, but it was fantastic.
I was in Scotland once, and I thought, okay, I got to have haggis, and they had a sign that said haggis.
You just put haggis in space.
They did?
Yeah. Yesterday they had.
Why would they?
Well, it was for what day did they just recently have? Where they celebrate a Scottish poet's.
Was it Burns?
Burns Day.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Yeah. They managed to put haggis into space for him.
Oh my God. Oh, it's just. I saw it behind the sign, and I pointed at it, and I thought, I gotta have it. I'm in Scotland. So I choked it down, and I thought that has got to be the worst thing.
Is your lutefisk?
It was up there. So then I go back, because I got to eat something else now. So there was something else behind the counter, and I pointed at that, and I go, I think I'm going to try that. The guy goes, "You mean the haggis?" And I was like, what did I just eat? So now I don't know what And the haggis was really good.
Nice.
I never wanted to know, and I still don't want to know what I ate.
Oh, I was in Scotland. Rita D'Angelo, stage manager for Midsummer? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was helping her with a show from Vietnam called Cooking. Or Korea.
In Scotland?
In Scotland.
Okay.
At Edinburgh.
Okay.
And my first day up there, I'm the first one kind of up there, so I have the place to myself. So I'm really bored, so I hit the town, and I find a bar, and I end up talking with this old Scottish guy, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying until the third picture, and then just like boom,
then it comes in
translation juice.
Yeah.
And we had a great time, and we were speaking all night. And then I'm walking back, and I see the chip shop, and I was like, "All right, I'll go in there." I've been warned about Scottish fare.
Yeah.
And I'm looking behind the counter, and I see something that kind of looks like a buttermilk biscuit. And I'm looking at that. What you got there? It's cheeseburger. Really? I'm sorry. Did you say cheeseburger? Cheeseburger. And to be honest, I hit the spot, because after seeing that, I was no longer hungry.
No. Yeah, especially a while ago, food got better, but early on it's got, oh God.
I saw on more than one occasion them crack a frozen pizza in half and drop it into a fryer.
Yeah.
and part of me is like, what the fuck? And the other part of me is like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And to be honest, it was good.
If you deep fry, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I have a deep fry pot in our house that keeps me sane. But we've evolved over the years for better containment systems.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, it is so good.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, and I've asked doctors. I've had a few interactions with doctors, and I'm like, why is fried food bad? And they kind of go and explain, and I go, but why does frying the food make it bad? Well, it's the oil. And I go, but if I use vegetable oil, and then I always kind of get a pause. So I'm trying to figure out if it's just the old thought. Is it the preparation? Is there something on a molecular level that happens to it? Because when I'm frying potatoes, it's vegetable oils and potatoes. It shouldn't be, cancer-geddon as it's being depicted, should it?
No.
So I have yet to get a satisfying in-person answer.
And they always are changing it.
Yeah. Well, it's like eggs.
Yeah.
One of my early jobs was helping my grandpa clean office buildings.
Yeah.
And one of the places we cleaned was the Egg Advertising Bureau in Idaho.
Oh, wow.
So I became very early aware of influence groups. Because I was like walking this place like, they really like eggs.
They have to. Oh, that whole advertising thing. I mean, Minneapolis, this used to be the hotbed of the country for advertising.
Yeah, I keep considering going into the field because there's, writers and such. Yeah. And I will when it's the right company. Yeah. And I haven't found that. No, we haven't found each other yet. Yeah. So I might have to start it.
If you're gonna have to put your weight behind it.
But I had for a while. I had a website, Crowd Control Advertising. But yeah, I just don't want to use.
That would be a good one now.
Yeah. I don't want to use my powers for evil.
No.
Which is a responsibility you have as a religious leader. Yeah,
and an advertiser, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of, one of the folks that is interested in sponsoring some Kevin Kling stuff is the East Lake Tap Room.
Oh yeah, you mentioned those guys.
I got to touch base with Ryan.
I'm not ready to remount 21A. I don't think it might have to be something else.
And what I'm wondering is if perhaps little short pieces, and just do a series of.
That's possible.
Of just
little short stories.
And they have a little outside area, and if we were just to pop down there, have a beer, tell the tales, record them, and then release them serially.
Okay.
I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
And then even if they don't do anything with them, we have them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and we
idea.
control them entirely, but we could use some co-branding and advertisement.
Yeah, I think I'd be up for something like that.
Yeah, especially right there on Lake Street.
Yeah, I know.
The Lake, Lake Street it's a soul.
I know. I completely. I mean, I've been I lived 2 blocks off of Lake Street since until here, since 1978. So
Where were you at?
I was on 2739 Fremont.
Oh, okay.
For a long time, right there, and for years, and then I just moved right over. Then a ways away, 38th and Pleasant, for many years, and then
I had a number of girlfriends up and down Pleasant that I just refer to as the Pleasant gals.
It is. They are. There is something about it. Well, that was great, but yeah, living right in Uptown when it was pretty rough. It was
the Chinese noodles factory.
Yeah, the BLB was like they had the human pin setters and all that.
Yeah. Or in the Mason Jennings story, he was talking about living across the street from BLB.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he had a big front room. That's where he was able to kind of record his stuff and stuff. It's like, yeah. I kind of have that going on in our place. We have turned our basement into a studio space, so the wife can work on her fabrics and her schooling, and I have a whole bunch of gaming stuff inside of mine, a pinball machine.
Oh, nice.
Some miniature arcades that are set for Gemma size.
So do you have a house, or
we're in a what's the word I'm looking for?
Duplex?
Condominium.
Oh.
But we are in our own structure. We have our own front door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which during this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the stress of living in an apartment building during a pandemic.
Oh my God. No, having your own door, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I decorated it with those wood burn signs where you put the family name on.
Yeah, yeah.
I made one of those, but I wrote it in Gallifreyan, the circular language of Doctor Who. So you might not be able to read it, but nerds will know that this is a sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly. God, what did I just find out? I did a trivia contest thing that the word that Darth Vader has writing on his uniform, on his thing.
Yeah.
And they said, what language was it in? And it's in ancient Hebrew for some reason. Of all things. Yeah.
The ancient language of the Sith.
Yeah, that was a hard. Yeah, who was the first commander? All these things, I didn't know anything.
My daughter's getting into Star Wars. She's now 6. So,
that's a great.
We thought she was old enough to do the original film, and I actually used a leisure unit to record her seeing the original trilogy.
Oh, really?
So that way I could, watch it and enjoy her. But also, if I want to, it's like, hey, how was my daughter's first reaction to a Wookiee?
Yeah. So you have all this, you can look at whichever thing you want at any time.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah, I just processed the archive, and again, I have a huge, 8 terabyte, most of it is pinball games.
Yeah.
Because the nice thing is I can just go in, just play a game and leave, and it's not a whole deal. Because they have pinball streamers who set up cameras above, and they'll have one camera above, one camera of the display, and then one camera of the player.
Okay.
And then usually the secondary things of scores, especially. I just plop this sucker somewhere on the glass, somewhere there. I experiment with different locations, play a game, and then if I want to, I can turn it into a show. But for me, part of it is also kind of getting used to it.
Yeah.
Being able to find flow while doing it.
So this is also going up, or is it?
Yeah, it's recording in a complete sphere, so it's even getting this area right here.
Wow.
And what I often do is I'll digitally put a watermark underneath it, label it like Game of Depth, and I can actually change the position of where that is.
Okay.
So sometimes when I'm playing a game, I'll put it on the ceiling because there's nothing there, so you can go up and there's Brandy.
Unbelievable. Wow.
And they also use it a lot now for pornography.
I suppose.
Yeah, just you put the camera here. You don't need to see the male's face. it keeps the illusion.
They already figured out where to put it.
And then you record, and then you have 360 degree. It is an underutilized utility that anytime now will. Because the nice thing is I can also take this and I can just put you in a nice little traditional square.
Yeah, do the same thing.
I can put us next to each other, so it looks a little weird because we're both steering forward as we're talking to each other.
That's really
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of off the topic, but it was a show I saw. This would be cool to film. The octopus teacher.
Oh yeah,
It's just this kind of technology. Just, oh my God, the whole thing, just to be able to film, because that whole.
It's just so beautiful. The environment and the.
And the relationship between the diver and the octopus would be, this would just be a really cool way to get the environment, the relationships, everything.
Yeah, and they have underwater cases for these.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. People often will stick them on the end of a selfie stick.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do it. It does a thing where it removes whatever's right underneath it.
Okay.
So it just seems that you have this. You'll see the person's hand.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of disappears, and it's as if they have this like floating orb in front of them. I have a walking stick that I put it on. Sometimes when there was before the pandemic, the May Day parade.
Yeah.
The parade was going this way.
Nice.
I was going this way with the camera.
Oh, that would be fantastic to do a parade.
Yeah.
Getting all the different. Oh, that'd be great to go like May Day or Mardi Gras or anything. Any parade would be a great use.
It's also allowed for me to be able to whenever I see somebody abusing somebody, whip it out and just start recording. It doesn't matter about keeping them in frame or anything, but
because it's got them.
And on one case, it caused somebody to stop.
Oh, good.
So, and I have that record. I have it.
Boy, it's just the fact that we can film things now more. I mean, just think of all George Floyd or anything that probably,
that's what changed it was, it's not that it's new and it's happened, it's that it became impossible to ignore and deny.
Yeah, now it's all on film.
Yeah. Kevin, the killer cop, I interacted with him a few times.
Oh my God, no kidding?
A friend of mine used to run a strip club downtown.
Yeah.
And he was a regular.
Yeah.
And I also, and because I saw him there, I saw, you start to identify cops because you never know when it'll be good to be able to go, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
To get you out of a situation. But I've seen him on several occasions, and he was always being far too brutal and very quick with the knee to the neck. That was his go-to. So it wasn't just a matter of if it was going to happen; it was a matter of when it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it changed everything. And,
I hope so.
Like you, it was 10 blocks from your home.
Yeah.
We had to empty out our little library because what we believed at the time, and it's gone to be verified, white nationalists were trying to burn down the neighborhood and blame it on Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, why would Antifa burn down a bookstore?
Or
yeah.
Or all those, even the precincts and everything that they were getting blamed for, that umbrella man and everything.
Yeah. Who proved it to be a white national.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing was, as soon as the Capitol gets stormed, the right is going, oh, it was Antifa. The same thing. It's like, No, you can't do that.
A lot of
No.
red hats for Antifa.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, what? Yeah, they were posing as, and then I was like, okay, let's wait till the films come out. I mean, the guys we're going to know who they are.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to tell if they're
Well, and
Antifa.
they're not only, filming themselves and broadcasting who it is on their own feed, but at times they're saying their names as they're going, all right, like the state senator or representative from West Virginia.
Yeah, oh God, that knucklehead. Well, a lot of those guys, this is why I'm not at work. And you're like, yeah, don't bother coming back. Yeah, there's all kinds of politicians out. Oh, and that whole, Phyllis Wright called this one out right away, where she said something on Facebook where she goes, I wonder how many ex-wives are calling saying they saw their ex-husband. Well, sure enough, there was a demographic. A lot of ex-wives were going, okay, I can tell you exactly who that is.
Yeah. It became the new Where's Waldo?
Yeah, all the different guys.
You can now go to a website and choose which viewpoint you want to see because they've collected all the data together. So you can pick like all the things that were filmed at this point and just watch it all. You can follow now individuals.
Wow.
From film to film. It's there's a lot of bored people at home, and this is something that they think they can do to help the democracy.
And it is.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I say bring it on. I mean, those guys can't do that stuff. And they really did feel they could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they weren't afraid, it was because, well, of course we can do this.
Hear them say, I think Cruz and Holly would be cool with us.
Yeah.
Literally, as they're rifling through. It's like, I have no connection to these people. They mention you by name.
Oh, God.
And the bad faith backcrawling and cries for unity. It's the classic kind of fascist move of, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend, until I have the brief moment of advantage, and then I will stab you in the freaking back.
Yeah.
It's the fascist playbook.
I know, I think I got in a little bit of trouble yesterday because Mary and I were talking to somebody, and I said, and it sounds like something I wouldn't even think, but I said, the only way to deal with it is to suppress, racism, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be there, and it's like, it's not something we can. I don't think it's something we can train out of people. It's something that has to be unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's got to be you got to say this is unacceptable behavior, not it's okay, but you might want to look at the other side of it.
Yeah.
That just isn't gonna.
Well, we've come into a dichotomy. I mean, wearing a mask has become a and part of me is also seeing this from a Darwinian point of view, is that because the right didn't wear masks, they were more liable to infections and more likely to damage their efforts and ability to vote. I wonder how many people died that would have changed the vote had they not died.
Yeah, how many and
because it was so close.
Boy,
and rallies and
Well, yeah, I heard some interviews from Sturgis, and these guys were saying if I would have known, and some guys that went away and got COVID later or passed it on to their grandparents and stuff. Oh, they were just totally heartbroken because they'd brought COVID back from Sturgis, and that was like. What did you think? I mean, I just can't even imagine what those guys could have even been thinking.
Well, I think we both know the immortality of the motorcycle rider.
Yeah, that's part of it. It really is.
I had to stop riding my bike recently.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I have a kid.
Yeah, I know. That would really make a difference.
I felt guilty and selfish. I wasn't able to enjoy the freedom.
No, that would definitely make a big difference.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I miss it.
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's too much of a cost for me to do it right now.
No. Can you see the clock in there? I gotta just maybe keep
Oh.
an eye. I'm not sure.
It's 2:18.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then I
Should we
gotta.
wrap up our?
I do have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you.
We can do this more though.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but, yeah.
Whenever you're up for it,
Yeah.
wherever, I love you and I
Yeah,
appreciate
likewise.
you.
Oh no,
so happy to see you.
This was really fills me up really good.
And we got a good 90 minutes out of this, so.
Okay, great. Well,
Zaz, I appreciate you.
All right.
Find out more about what we do at pincombo.com, gameofdepth.com, sintire.com, cultofthemonth.com, messiahcomplex.com, theoffensive.com is where we got shirts and stuff.
nice.